understand why this audience is applauding. You will be applauding at home, too, because today we have live in studio Kevin Costner.
That's right.
Also, his co-star from the new movie, Black and White, Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie, another rising star, yeah?
Yes.
Plus, we are talking fitness because it's a new year and it's a new you. Jim Karras, who is a celebrity trainer, he trains Hugh Jackman, is also here, and he's going to give us some great tips.
But wait a minute, he has something that he's going to say that is revolutionary. He says, don't do cardio. So I am dying to talk to him about not doing cardio.
Yeah, me too. I would love to hear about this because it's my goal this year, and I haven't told you this, to run a half marathon. I've never done it. And I had the whole surgery thing a few years ago, so that's my goal. But if he's saying don't do cardio, maybe I just won't.
No, he says absolutely do not do cardio. So we're going to get to that in just a little bit. All right. We're going to bring in G to say good morning to you as well.
Good morning.
Morning started.
I just want to be able to run for like 10 minutes straight without losing my breath. So there we
please,
go.
you can do it. You're in tip-top shape. Okay, I say let's get right to it, guys.
Yes.
Our first guest is one of the biggest actors in the world. He also is an entrepreneur, a singer, and an award-winning director. Take a look. From his big break in Silverado, Kevin Costner rose to stardom with such classics as The Untouchables, Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, The Bodyguard, and of course his Golden Globe and Oscar-winning film, Dances with Wolves. And who could forget Tin Cup, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, JFK, Draft Day, or the History Channel's Hatfields and McCoys. For more than 30 years, he's been entertaining and enlightening us. And his latest film, Black or White, gives us a nuanced look at racism today. Please welcome Kevin Costner.
Now, do you ever get used to that?
You know, you can be greeted in so many different ways, and this is it's a fabulous way to be greeted. Thank you.
Yes, we had some really good people here in Chicago. You've spent some time here. One of your earliest movies, The Untouchables, one of my favorites was here.
Well, I tell you, Chicago does qualify as my favorite big city in America. It's just, you know, you can walk here and not be dwarfed by the buildings. There's just something special here, and I've had good luck here.
Well, how do you say that? What do you mean, good luck?
Well, I can't tell everything on the air.
Why not?
Does this involve a young lady?
We want to know now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a small crowd. Maybe it won't get out, right?
Oh, but we have a big audience at home watching.
Yeah.
No, it's been great for me here. You know, Untouchables was a very, very early part of my career, and forever linked with this city because of it.
Right, and Sean Connery, I know you co-starred with him. I hear that you do an amazing Sean Connery impression.
Well, I don't do an amazing one, but, you know, when he talks to you, you have to, like, really listen. And so sometimes I had dreams about him, going, come here, Mr. Nash. But what you know, people ask me a lot of times, you know, who's the best actor you ever worked with? You know, who's the whatever. And I have been really lucky. I've kind of worked in a golden age where I worked with all these guys, you know, and De Niro and Hackman and Sean Connery, and the list goes on. But you know, Hackman was like such a superior actor. But the biggest star I ever worked with was Sean Connery.
Wow.
And that's not to diminish what a great actor is, because sometimes if you say star, you're kind of saying, well, he just had this charisma, but he didn't have the stuff. Not true. This guy's a great film actor, and I miss seeing him.
And you miss seeing Whitney Houston, too.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. We were talking about The Bodyguard yesterday, and just even how you spoke at her funeral, and then just talk about the relationship you had and how much you miss her.
Well, that was a moment in time, and I think that, you know, she was our songbird. She was our skinny little songbird, and such a big instrument in there, and we had...
Look at that.
We had a moment, and I kissed her once for America, and I kissed her once for me.
Because did the scene go like, oh, wait, no, I don't think that went right, so I want to do it again. Is that how the scene goes?
Well, I'm not a dummy. I mean, we're going to do other things 10 times. Why not this? But, you know, sometimes there are moments that you'll never, ever forget, and and we're forever locked. And when I was asked to speak, I first said no many times because I thought there were so many other people that knew Whitney so much better than I did. But what happened is there's this strong drumbeat for me to go speak, and I realized that the world saw us together. And so I did, and I panicked about it, worried about it, and now that it was over, I was glad that I was able to go and speak on her behalf for her.
You always wanted her for that role, but she had to audition anyway, even though she was your pick from the day one?
Yeah, she did. I mean, there was a you know, should we use Whitney? I thought, yeah, I thought that isn't she the prettiest girl that can sing?
And can sing, truly sing.
That's how I saw her, you know, and maybe naively so, but I wasn't worried about our ability to have chemistry, you know, and she did have to read for it, and we waited 8-9 months for her. You know, people wanted to go sooner, but I said no. I think this is the girl, and she was the girl.
Well, I wanted to ask you about one of my favorite movies, and I have to tell you, growing up in North Carolina, Bull Durham is just legendary, and you said that film almost didn't get made.
Yeah, it was really, you know, I have a history with certain movies like that. I mean, my career has been built in large part on some movies that people wondered what they were about. Field of Dreams. Bull Durham was certainly a movie that was, well, it's about baseball. Who, you know, it doesn't have a foreign market. And I go, yeah, but it's a great American movie. That probably movie has gone on to cost us $6 million to make it, and it's probably gone on to make $200-300 million for the studio. So Black or White falls into that same category, you know. But when I read Bull Durham, you know, I get this speech. I've had some great speeches in the movies. You know, when you're an actor, you'd like to have Spencer Tracy's Inherit the Wind, but I got to make a speech about the small of a woman's back, high fiber, good scotch, softcore pornography, opening your presents Christmas morning rather than Christmas. I've been really lucky, and equally so with this movie Black or White. I have a speech in it that I think kind of changed the way I thought.
Yep, speaks to you.
And I thought I need to say this out loud. So I do hope you see Black or White. If you've enjoyed those other movies, I think this takes its place right alongside those.
Right, and this is something that you're really passionate about. You put your heart into it, but you also put your finances into it. It was that important for you to get this made.
I had promised this guy, I was going to in my big mouth. I had promised this guy that we would make this movie. I thought that
Mike Binder.
I thought a lot of people would want to make it, and I think a lot of people loved the movie, but at the end of the day, it didn't match up. It didn't have all the stuff. But I think movies, when they're working at their very best, are always about moments and things that get said that maybe you wish you said, and sometimes things that you'll never ever forget. And Black or White has that. It has that DNA of something, because it's you know, it deals with racism, a subject that people have been dancing around, and it's so delicate. It's so, how do we have this conversation? But it goes right after it in a wonderful way. It's really a movie about family, about love, about different, you know,
forgiveness.
It really is. It hits, and it's quite humorous in a way. And I decided that I would pay for it. I remember my wife going, Jesus, are you just hanging out in cornfields listening to did somebody tell you to build this field? You know, don't studios make this movie? Why do we have to make this movie? And I said, I don't know, sweetheart, but I said, this is how it's boiled down. I said, and that's why my wife's a good partner, because, you know, it was a lot for us, and we did it. But I'm glad, and now it's not my movie, it's your movie, and I hope that you do see it.
Well, we're going to take a quick break because we want to talk more about the movie. I also have some, I see you have your scarf on right now. Because
well, this is Chicago, because I know when you kick me out, it gets cold really quick. So I've been kicked out of 3 places already, and so I thought to myself, I'm just going to get a jump on getting warm.
Hey, we'll let you hang out as long as you want, Kevin.
Thanks.
All right? Hey, don't go anywhere, because we're coming back with Kevin. We're going to show you a clip from the movie Black or White, and when we come back, one of his co-stars will be here. Anthony Mackie plays a grandfather trying to keep custody of his biracial grandchild. Take a look.
We need to start talking about shared custody.
Not going to happen.
Do you dislike black people?
Not all of them.
This isn't about black and white. This is about Eloise.
That was a short clip from the new movie Black or White, and right now we have another one of the stars of the film here. He's been here before. Welcome back, Anthony Mackie.
Good to see you again.
How's it going?
right, you got it.
See how he came out there and hugging some sugar?
All right. I don't know why I'm helping you in.
I'm like, wow, that's really...
Doing something wrong.
You didn't play the Falcon on Captain America. You could have flown in there.
Like, two beautiful ladies. I get you.
You deserve it.
That's it.
I just told him, I said, you see how Anthony came out and gave me a hug and some sugar? He didn't come out and give me a hug and sugar at
He's
all.
sugar-free. He's sugar-free.
He's sugar-free? Is that what he is?
I've been waiting for months.
Then
He
I
ain't
turn
never
around and
kissed
say
me.
something real nice. So you need to bother to tell people that.
Well, you tell him. You tell
No, I
him.
ain't gonna tell him. I just am nice.
What did he say?
He said I wasn't deserving.
She left out a word. It wasn't because you didn't deserve it. When you leave out a word, that changes the whole
What did he
sentence.
say?
It's our little thing,
She
right?
just want to be Whitney Houston. That's all it is. That movie messed it up for everybody.
It really did. Well, let's talk about this movie, Black or White. Obviously, everything that's going on in our country, all the the racial issues that we're dealing with. How much of a message is this for people?
Well, it's a huge message. I mean, I think as parents, we have to look at that. Kids come out as beautiful blank slates, and they have all the potential in the world to be as great as they can possibly dream to be. And we've made it our job to mess them up.
Yeah.
And I think parenting is something that should be looked upon as a privilege, not a job. And, if you watch this movie, Kevin's character, he kind of displaces this little girl into what he believes is wrong. And Octavia's character kind of displaces her in what she believes is wrong, instead of guiding her and let her learning what is wrong.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I feel the moral and obligation of this movie is to the audience.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Anthony, you've also been really vocal about the stigma that Hollywood places on young black actors. You kind of agreed with the term that a lot of young actors have to act black before they can actually get those great character roles. Do you feel like it's getting better, and is that why you were interested in this movie? Because there were a variety of roles for black actors.
Well, I feel like with this movie, it was the potential of being able to express my viewpoints as a black man in America, as opposed to a black man that's an actor. I think there's more so than the racial injustice and inequality in this country, there's a socio-economical equality in this country. And I think as a people, there's a huge divide, because we have the black people who are now educated and affluent, and we have the black people who are still disenfranchised and not able to reach that same platform. So now we're fighting to where, well, I don't want to be confused as him, or I don't want to, you have the guy on the corner or the rapper that's like, oh, I ain't no sellout, I ain't going to college, this, that, and the third, and you got the college guy who's like, well, I ain't on the corner, I ain't the guy that's robbing you. So I think there's something in between where if we meet at, it can be a creation of a beautiful harmony of a people, as opposed to two divided groups fighting for what they think the view of the country is of them.
Right. And your character, too, kind of really, you're the attorney who comes in and represents your sister, played by Octavia Spencer, and you really kind of go in for the race card. You kind of make it a black or white thing. Do you think that sometimes we as people tend to do that, black folks in particular?
Well, I think, using the card, as an attorney, your job is to win. So if you come to me and you're like, look, I killed her, but I need you to make them believe I didn't. My job is to believe 100% that you didn't kill her, and to make them believe that. And so, lawyers are the best actors in the world. They're just more expensive than movie actors.
They cost a lot of money.
Exactly.
And there's some really good exchanges between the two of you guys in the film. Is chemistry something that you just feel right away, Kevin, when you're with an actor, or is that something that develops over the course?
Well, sometimes you feel it right away, sometimes you develop it. These were world-class parts, and Anthony, certainly at this point in his career, you can see what's happening. He has his choice to be able to do anything. And he can do these big movies, or he can sometimes stop and come do a movie like this. And I appreciated that you did that, because I paid for this and I needed somebody world. But more importantly, Anthony gets a moment in this movie several times where he can speak for his own generation. About if you see the movie, you're going to see the power of it. And we had lovely Octavia Spencer, who just came in and tore it up.
Yes, she
did. Actors aren't dumb. They know when there's great parts. They know when, if they get a great part, you can live forever. Movies right now are measured on how they do for the weekend. And we know that that's not the measure of a great movie. A measure of a great movie is that one that you will take off the shelf 5, 10, 20 years from now and share. And we both have parts that I think are going to be worth looking at 20 years from now. And I think that's what we wanted. I think that's what we want every time we choose a movie, for it to be a classic. Are they? They're not always are. this movie does have a chance, and I see it taking its place right alongside of Field of Dreams and Dances with Wolves. So I do hope you go see it.
And when you talk about the measure of a movie, you also talked last night, because we had a Q&A, about you want a movie that people can talk about on the way home, not just when they're in the theater and they're done and they leave it with the empty Coke on the seat. You want to be able to have a conversation, and you're hoping that this opens the door. We had a little bit of a conversation. We want you to take a look at what we did last night.
Soft lips, I know. Okay, listen, we have about, I'm not kidding you, if I don't get to sleep, we are not having Windy City Live in the morning at 11 o'clock. Are you guys tired?
We went late into the night. We were together till about 10:45 or so last night. Yeah. But the audience had a lot of great questions for you.
And I also have to tell you, there was nothing more surreal than sitting behind you. Val and I were sitting behind you watching the movie and watching you watch the movie, and then Val and I were like, oh my gosh, he's actually eating popcorn. He's eating movie popcorn.
I know how to behave in a theater.
No, but I will say this, and this is something I don't even think that you're aware of. So you sat down 2 seats over from us, and there were 2 empty seats right in front of me. So you were literally like the 3rd seat from me. And these folks come in a little bit late, not too late, but he said, come here, sit down, right?
Well, they started to sit down, and then they got the feeling that maybe they shouldn't sit there, and they started to walk away, and I thought, well, that doesn't seem right. Why don't you come sit down here?
And he said that. So I don't know if you saw this, but as soon as the movie started, and the first scene you see of Kevin, and the young guy looks at the movie, at the screen, he looks at you. Did you see him do this? No. He looked at you, and he looked back at the thing, and he went... And G and I were sitting right behind, so we were cracking up. At that point, he was like, "Oh, okay, this white guy's telling me to sit down next to him."
He did whisper something to me after. I said, "Don't tell me how it ends."
There you go. All right, well, we won't tell you how it ends either, but Kevin and Anthony are sticking around to talk about some upcoming projects they're working on. And don't forget, Black or White opens in theaters on January 30th. Coming up a little bit later, celebrity trainer Jim Karras is revving up our metabolism for the permanent weight loss.
But he says don't do cardio. Stick around to find out why. Kevin Costner and Anthony Mackie, of course, they are here to talk about their new movie, Black or White. And I tell you what, you've got to go check it out. It's in theaters on the 30th. We all have seen it, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I really did.
And one question I have, because I read that you actually memorize everybody's lines in the film, not just your own lines. How impossible is that?
Well, it takes me a long time to do it, but it's my whole process, because I'm equally interested in what is being said to me. I mean, sometimes you just mark the lines you say, but, you know, just without boring people with acting, you're always responding to what's said to you. And I'm a little slower study, you know, so sue me. It takes me longer. So
well, the whole movie,
while I'm doing it, I might as well learn everybody else's.
There you go.
I want to talk about the little girl who plays Eloise, your granddaughter in the movie. Now, I read that, okay, there was an extensive casting process, and it got narrowed down to 3 little girls, and so Eloise won the job. She is a terrific young actress. And tell us about your relationship with her.
Well, there's, you know, I can go even a little farther than that with it, because you think about it, you go from 1,000 girls to 100 to 50 to 3 come to see me. And the truth of that reality is that 2 little girls' hearts are going to break.
Yeah.
They come with all the greatest expectations in the world that their life is going to be different if we say yes to them. I mean, Anthony and I live a life where we want to say somebody to say yes to us. And we were adults. We still went home and cried when they said no. But yeah, this little girl came in, and somebody's life is going to change. And Jillian won the part, and we needed for her to be good in this movie, and she was.
Yeah. You know, you talked about last night at the Q&A, you said that you learned so much from movies, including like how to kiss from movies. But one thing you said that was so compelling in the movie was about racism and how you can't lie about it being the first thing that you notice. But then can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, listen, we have struggled with this, you know, how to have this. And, you know, we don't really, look, I'm an actor. I saw this movie that electrified me, that gave me a notion about, you know, there's a moment in time where he says in this movie, it's not my first thought that counts, it's my second, third, and fourth that will define who I am as a person. Because we all recognize our cultural differences, and for those who say they don't, I don't believe that. When people say I'm colorblind, I actually don't believe that. I think your heart can be that, but we see things. So what becomes important in life is after we distinguish something in our mind, where do we move from that? You know, our cultural differences are things that can inform us. There are things that we can celebrate. We have a long way to go. We have a really long way to go, and you know, I don't think white people will ever understand what it's like to be black. And for those, even with the greatest empathy, there's a beautiful woman walks by a construction site. Is she going to get whistled at? Somebody walks in a neighborhood that they're not sure of. Are they going to endure something? Is somebody going to say something? There's a veil that we don't quite understand. We can have great empathy for it, but we don't quite understand it. I don't know how to ever bridge that gap. I don't know how to ever redo that history. But I do know that my children are better at this than I was, and I'm better than my parents were. I was born in Compton, California, and I grew up with that word. I knew what that word was. It was said liberally. It was never said, I remember, in anger, but it was said out of ignorance, and it was said in clumsy ways. In jokes and everything else. And at a certain point in time, that wasn't appropriate anymore. And my children have never heard those. And their children will never hear that. So our best hope is our children about how we go forward. And I think that this movie, in its own way, attacks that.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. What are you guys working on next? You got some big projects. I know you do, Anthony, Mr. Captain America.
I'm about to read that Ultimate Diet Revolution.
Because you don't want to do cardio?
If I don't have to do cardio, let's talk, Jim.
Well, you know he trains the star. He's a celebrity trainer.
I'll be a star in about 3 years. Let's do it.
Oh, you're a star now. Stop it.
No, but I start Captain America 3 in April, and that's, you know...
Now, the rumor is that you might become Captain America. Is there any truth to that?
Well, you know, there are many incarnations in a comic book. We're now going into the Civil War, you know. So if you look at it in the comic book, Cap gives Bucky the shield. Bucky gives it back to Cap. Cap gives it to me. Then
it was your best
Bucky
friend.
goes off and marries Black Widow. So I keep the shield, give it back to Cap. And recently, Cap wanted to be old, so he gave me the shield back. And now I got the shield. And
There you go.
It back.
There you go. And last I heard, Kevin got the shield. Were you Captain America next?
It's dizzy. It's just dizzying right now.
There you go. Well, hey, the new movie, Black or White, opens in theaters on January 30th. Thank you guys so much for being here. Anthony and Kevin, truly a pleasure.
Thanks,
guys.